Hello, and welcome to the fourth in our series of discussions with members of Vistage Group 8657 here in the greater Boston area. I'm Craig James, and I'm chair of the group. Vistage is a worldwide CEO development organization. They provide programs comprising confidential facilitator-led peer advisory groups, individual coaching, expert speakers, and a worldwide community of over 40,000 members in over 30 countries. Now, while CEOs join for a variety of reasons, all have at least three reasons in common: to make better decisions, become better leaders, and get dramatically better results. In other words, to scale. With us today is Joe Sziabowski, principal of Hardaway Sziabowski Architects. Joe, welcome.
Thanks, Craig. It's good to be here.
We're glad to have you. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you originally from? And if it's not Boston, what brought you here?
Well, I grew up in Connecticut and went to college in New York, and then I studied architecture. And as an architect, it seemed like it would make sense to go to an urban center when I graduated. And New York and Boston were two of the top options. And so I ended up coming to Boston because some friends and relatives were going to be here, and the rest is history.
Fantastic. What's the Hardaway Sziabowski story?
The Hardaway Sziabowski story goes a little bit like this. Dick Hardaway founded the firm in 1976. Dick is an architect, well-rounded, studied at Amherst and then MIT, and opened the firm. And for many years, the company specialized in healthcare, commercial, and high-end residential. About 20 years ago, I joined Dick, and then about 10 years ago, I took the company over from him. And since the early days, we've been gravitating more and more towards ambulatory healthcare design, and right now, that makes up 80 to 90% of our work in any given year.
And what would you say is special about the firm? Obviously, you've got a focus on ambulatory. What is special about the firm itself?
Well, we're a small firm, but a tight-knit group. And as I mentioned in a moment ago, we focus on ambulatory healthcare design, which is kind of a unique area of design. It's part of the healthcare sector, but it's outpatient facilities versus inpatient facilities. While that it ranges from things like your doctor's offices to an imaging center where you might go and have an X-ray or an MRI, all the way to things like surgery centers where you might have day surgery. It varies in complexity, and our primary specialty is ambulatory surgery centers. We've designed over 150 of them around the country. And those are complicated, smaller projects, and that's what that's what makes us special. Where we live, breathe, and eat surgery centers every day. It exercises the left side and the right side of our brain, and we really enjoy it.
So it's safe to say if I need an ambulatory surgical center built or designed, you're the firm I'd want to come to because you specialize in that niche.
Yeah, we certainly are.
And I'm just looking behind you, and is that one of your projects behind you?
That's the waiting room for a surgery center that we designed in Fort Myers, Florida. It's a four operating room facility that specializes in total joint replacement surgery.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So turning to Vistage, Joe, how did you learn about Vistage? Do you recall?
I do recall, and interestingly enough, one of my clients recommended it to me. we had worked together on several projects over the course of a few years. And we talked not only about the work, but we talked about business. And he and his partner were working on growing their surgery center company. And I had recently taken over our company and was working on growing it. And he said, Joe, I got some advice from a colleague recently. Uh, and the advice was that if you want to scale your company, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. And the advice he got was look into joining a CEO peer group. And he ultimately chose Vistage. And so he was giving me both the same advice to join a CEO peer group. And by the way, Vistage would be a great option. And so I did look at some other options like EO, but ultimately settled on Vistage because I thought that the format of uh, having monthly peer group meetings, uh, but also one-on-ones with the chair, uh, and then but being able to have that tight-knit group together with the group leader, really in sort of an organized way, really appealed to me.
Yeah, that's great. Now, most people when they are looking at something that they've never really done before or aren't very familiar with, like a peer group, uh, they have reservations, they have concerns, worries. They just don't know what they don't know, I suppose. Did you have any reservations when you were going through the process of coming onto Vistage?
Well, sure. I think that's only natural. Um, I was concerned about uh, a big concern was about making whether or not I could afford to spend the time.
Hmm.
It's a day-long meeting once a month, uh, one-on-one meetings at least once a month, and other commitments. And so that was definitely a concern. I might have been concerned about the expense uh, and being able to contribute at a level that would be valuable to the other members.
Right. But you still joined anyway.
Well, yeah, you did a good job of twisting my arm, Craig.
Well, I hope it wasn't twisted too hard, Joe. Uh,
No, it certainly wasn't. A couple of years later, more than 2 years later in the group, I'm delighted that I joined.
yeah, and it's oftentimes one of those things where uh, you don't know what you don't know, and I think once you get into it, you start to realize, okay, this is what it's about, and I kind of like it. I believe you're coming up. In fact, I know you're coming up next month, Joe. Is June. We're recording this in May of 2025. June will be your third year as a member.
Oh yeah, wow. I knew it was over 2 years, but
Right.
that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years.
And,
Wow.
and Vistage is, it's not an annual commitment, it's month to month, is that right? You're in it month to month?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could get off this bus anytime you wanted, just no questions asked, but you stick around. So must be doing something right.
Sure.
Uh, In those 3 years, Joe, you've experienced, as you mentioned, the group meetings, one-to-one coaching meetings, speakers. What would you say has been the most valuable aspect, the members obviously, the most valuable aspect of your membership, of your experience, if you can name one?
Well, I think it's really the peer group, having a group of individuals who, like me, all own companies, uh, and they're of varying sizes,
Mhm.
but they're all small to medium-sized companies, all seeking uh, growth uh, or progress in their businesses.
Mhm.
Um, and what I've learned is that even though all of our businesses are different kinds of businesses,
Mhm.
we share similar problems, uh, and that the group acts, very effectively as a board of advisors. Um,
Mhm.
there's the old cliche that it's lonely at the top, and I'm sure other business leaders or owners and CEOs, may feel that from time to time. And I think one of the things that this group, and I include you in that, Craig, because I spend additional time with you and get the benefit of your feedback and your being a sounding board along the way. Um, but this group, I think, helps me feel like I have a board to turn to to flesh out issues that I otherwise would have to work through by myself. And I've found that process to be extremely valuable uh, over and over again in the course of this almost 3 year involvement.
Well, we had one just yesterday, didn't we?
Yes, yes, we did.
Um, at the top of the episode, Joe, I gave listeners a description of Vista, describing it as a CEO development organization. How would you describe it?
Well, I, as I said earlier, I mean, I see it as a peer group. Um, one of the other things we've had the opportunity to do is, get beyond um, uh, our own group uh, uh, by attending other uh, Vistage um, programs or events where uh, Vistage members from other places have convened, and those have been interesting too and valuable. In addition to that, we've had some chances to interact with your trusted advisors group, and so there are other opportunities to interact, I should say, um, with peers and a network of people that just broadens the whole appeal
Mhm.
of Vistage. And so I think of it as a peer group, and it's it in many ways it's a broad peer group. I mean, there are also the online opportunities to interact with people
Mhm.
across the country and even throughout the world who are
Yeah.
members of Vistage, and that can be helpful in terms of getting a broader array of feedback from a
Mhm.
wider audience within the Vistage um, overarching organization.
Sometimes we're even looking for an architect, huh?
Well, I suppose so. I mean, at least they may have an architectural question,
Yeah.
but yeah, but you never
Last
know.
question for you, Joe. What would you say to a CEO or a business owner who's contemplating joining a peer group, whether it's Vistage or any of the others you've mentioned, but who, like you, are having reservations and second thoughts, just not quite sure, or someone who just feels a peer group isn't necessary?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think it's not for everybody, but I think if for people who are curious, or maybe even on the fence, I would say give it a try. I mean, I know, we've recently had guests at our group meeting, and boy, what better way could there be than to get a sense of how it works and what goes on and the dynamics of the relationships and the people
Yeah.
involved. And so I think that my advice would be give it a try and see, kick the tires and see what you think.
Yeah, Joe, you're absolutely right. This kind of thing is not for everybody. And to your point, it's not insignificant time commitment, not insignificant financial commitment, but clearly in your case, you've been here for 36 months almost, and obviously you wouldn't be staying if you didn't think it was giving you some value. But we're time to wrap up here, Joe. So I want to thank you for your time and your contribution today. This concludes episode 4. I hope those of you who are watching enjoyed it and that you'll join us for the next episode, which will feature another member of Group 8657. You can find recordings of all episodes on our YouTube channel, as well as contact information for the guests and the host. See you next time.